Tonight, I'm feeling a bit peckish. Are you hungry? Tonight's tale is a real rib sticker. It takes place in a future where finding a good meal is murder, and the competition is dead serious. It's a story about a man who refused to settle for leftovers and decided to go whole hog. So lock your pantry doors and grab a snack. Might I suggest some lady fingers or perhaps a nice bowl of scream of mushroom soup? Sit back, relax, and try to keep your lunch down. We call this little appetizer all you can eat.
The hunger wasn't a feeling anymore. It was a geography. It was the landscape of Xavier's entire life. He lived in the shadow of the Spire, the great gleaming needle where the calorie-rich elite looked down on the gray, starving masses of Sector 4. For 30 years, he had eaten nothing but the daily ration, a gray, flavorless brick of nutrient paste that tasted of chalk and despair. But Xavier had a religion. Every year on the night of the winter solstice, the screens on the sides of the vending monoliths would flare to life, and the anthem would play.
Are you hungry? Are you thin? Just pick up a fork, you might win. Forget your troubles, forget your pain. Calories are falling like golden rain. Why suffer in the gray and gloom when you can stuff your face in the Gastrodome? One will rise and two will drop. We'll keep on feeding till the heartbeat stop. It's Feast or Famine, the only game in town. Feast or Famine, Feast or Famine, Feast or Famine.
Feast or Famine. It was the only show that mattered. 3 contestants, mountains of food, 1 survivor. The winner received the golden ticket, a lifetime supply of unlimited calories. Xavier had watched men eat themselves to death for a chance at that ticket. He had watched them choke, vomit, and weep into plates of prime rib. And he envied them, not for the victory, but for the mouthful. This year, the drone didn't fly past his window. It stopped. It hovered, its red eye scanning his retina, and a mechanical voice chimed the sound of salvation. Citizen Xavier, you have been selected. Prepare to eat. The backstage of the Gastrodome smelled of antiseptic and old grease. Xavier sat in a cold metal chair, shivering, his stomach an empty knot for so long, cramped in anticipation. The door slid open with a pneumatic hiss. In walked the host, Miss Digestikan. She was a vision of grotesque glamour. Her dress was covered in thousands of crimson sequins that shimmered like wet fish scales under the harsh lights. Her hair was a helmet of blonde lacquer, and her smile was too wide, stretching the powdered skin of her face until it looked like it might tear. Xavier, she trilled, her voice like syrup poured over broken glass. Oh, you are a skinny one, aren't you? The camera simply loves a vacuum waiting to be filled. Behind her stood a team of handlers, men in hazmat suits who didn't speak. They began to massage Xavier's jaw, stretching it, working the muscles. It felt less like a massage and more like tenderizing meat. Miss Digestikan reached into the pocket of her shimmering dress and produced a silver syringe. The liquid inside glowed a toxic neon green. Now, darling, she whispered, leaning in close. She smelled of peppermint and copper. This is just a little helper, a vitamin shot to help that tiny tummy of yours, to make room for the bounty. We can't have you tapping out after the appetizer, now can we? She didn't wait for permission. She jammed the needle into Xavier's neck. Cold fire raced down his spine. It hit his stomach and exploded. The knot of hunger didn't loosen. It tore open. It became a gaping, roaring void. Xavier gasped, his eyes widening. He wasn't just hungry. He was starving. The stage was blinding. The roar of the crowd was a physical force, a wall of sound that hit Xavier as he walked out. There were 3 tables. To his left, Milton, a massive slab of a man, sweating profusely, eyes locked on the prize. To his right, Asher, a nervous, twitchy kid who looked like he might faint before the first bite. And in front of them, the food. It was obscene. Pyramids of roasted chickens, glistening with oil, towers of burgers, cheese cascading down their sides like molten lava, steaks the size of manhole covers, sizzling in pools of butter. "Eaters, begin!" Miss Digestikan screamed. They didn't eat. They attacked. Xavier grabbed a handful of ribs, sauce painting his face in streaks of barbecue red. He tore the meat from the bone, swallowing without chewing. The texture was overwhelming, soft, salty, rich. His brain flooded with dopamine. More. The scoreboard above them ticked up. Xavier, 5 pounds. Milton, 8 pounds. Asher, 4 pounds. The crowd chanted, a rhythmic thrum that matched the beating of Xavier's heart. Eat, eat, eat. Miss Digestikan prowled the stage, microphone in hand, narrating the gluttony with manic glee. Every few minutes, she would slip behind a contestant, a flash of silver in her hand, and deliver another booster shot. The food kept coming. Conveyor belts delivered fresh horrors of caloric density. Xavier's stomach began to distend. He could feel his skin tightening, stretching like a drum. The pleasure was turning into pain. A sharp, tearing sensation ripped through his abdomen. Then, a wet thud. Asher had stopped. He was clutching his throat, his face turning a dark, bruised purple. He fell forward into a bowl of mashed potatoes, twitching. "Cleaner on aisle 3, Miss Digestikan laughed. The crowd cheering as medical drones dragged the unconscious off stage by his ankles. It was down to 2. Milton was a machine. He was shoveling pasta into his maw, his score climbing. Milton 20 pounds, Xavier 15 pounds. Xavier was losing, and he was full. His stomach felt like it was filled with concrete. The medicine was wearing off. The nausea rose in his throat, a bitter tide threatening to expel the prize. He looked at the next platter, a whole roast pig, and despaired. He could not do it. He looked up at Mrs. Digestikan. She was distracted, playing to the camera, waving to the bloodthirsty audience. But Xavier saw it, sticking out of the back pocket of her sequin dress. 3 silver syringes. Desperation is a powerful anesthetic. Xavier didn't think. He lunged. While the host spun around, Xavier's hand snaked out and snatched the vials. He ducked beneath the tablecloth. His hands shook as he uncapped them. 1, 2, 3. He didn't inject his neck. He jammed all 3 needles directly into his thigh. The reaction was instantaneous. It wasn't a rush, it was a detonation. The chemicals hit his bloodstream like a freight train. Xavier's eyes rolled back into his head. Crack! The sound echoed through the microphone on the table. Milton stopped eating, a forkful of spaghetti frozen halfway to his mouth. Xavier's jaw unhinged. It dropped open with the wet pop of dislocating cartilage, hanging loose and slack. Saliva, thick and ropey, poured from his mouth, pooling on the floor. He stood up, or tried to. His spine lengthened with the sound like dry branches snapping. His shirt shredded, buttons popping off like bullets. Underneath, his skin was moving. It rippled and churned, as if something was boiling beneath the surface. Tumorous bulges erupted from his shoulders, his back, his chest. New muscle, new storage, growing in seconds. The hunger was no longer a void, it was a presence, a demon that had taken the will. Xavier grabbed the roast pig. He didn't use a fork. He brought the carcass to his face and inhaled it. Bones, gristle, meat, it vanished into the cavern of his mouth. Crunch. Milton screamed. Hi, tap out! Look at him, he's a monster! Milton vomited, scrambling backward, falling off his chair. But Xavier wasn't looking at Milton. He was looking at the scoreboard. The numbers were spinning, a blur of light. 30 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds. He ate the table. He ate the wood, the tablecloth, the metal cutlery. His teeth had grown, jagged shards of bone pushing through his bleeding gums. I don't have the high score yet, Xavier bellowed. The voice didn't sound human. It sounded like tectonic plates grinding together. Fireworks exploded. Confetti rained down. Winner! We have a winner! Miss Digestikan shrieked, her voice trembling for the first time. Xavier stood amidst the wreckage. He was 8 feet tall now, a towering heap of distended flesh and pulsing veins. He looked at the empty platters. It's not enough. He turned to the audience. They weren't people anymore. They were calories. Wrapped in colorful packaging, he leapt. The screams began instantly. Xavier waded into the front row, scooping up spectators like popcorn. Security guards rushed him, firing tasers that sparked uselessly against his calloused hide. He swatted them away, breaking them with casual, terrifying ease. He ate until the screaming stopped, until the only sound left in the studio was the heavy, wet panting of his own breath. He turned back to the stage. Mrs. Digestikan was backed into a corner, her sequins dull in the flickering emergency light. She held up a hand, shaking. "You win, Xavier," she whispered. "All the food you can eat. For the rest of your life. Please, just take the prize and leave." The thing that used to be Xavier towered over her. A smile split its face, stretching ear to ear. "I'll take this to go." He lunged. Chomp.
I guess Xavier really made a meal out of that competition, didn't he? Talk about having eyes bigger than bigger than your entire mutated body. Poor Miss Digestikan. She spent her whole career dishing it out, but in the end, she was the only thing left on the menu. I guess you could say she finally got her just desserts. And Xavier, he really bit off more than he could chew. And hey, in a world that hungry, it's eat or be eaten, and he clearly didn't have the guts to quit while he was ahead. That's all for tonight, kiddies. I'm off to grab a midnight snack myself. And I hear the graveyard shift at the morgue just got a fresh delivery of cold cuts. Until next time, bon appetit!